we're almost late to our panel because Foxy was like determined to get this shirt.
I probably won't button it anyway, but yeah, like
it looks great.
Yeah,
it's not like tight in your shirt sleeves, so that's the important part.
No, I can see what they mean by it does run a little small, but hey, it still fits good enough for the weekend. So
yeah, you look cute. Is that trumping your own shirt? So we just completed our panel, and now we're gonna go see how to become a community guest panel with Charlie and our friends Red Card and Taylor. Yay! Excited?
Yeah. You know what I'm gonna be doing during that panel?
What?
Ordering pizza, because it'll take like an hour, so.
True. Yay! No rainbow pizza. Koa, you owe me.
Oh, what a time to be alive.
So hi, I'm Red Card.
Hi, Red Card.
I do YouTube vlogs, convention vlogs, referee. I'm a certified referee in soccer in Eastern Pennsylvania. I started out actually during season 3 actually. In late, I started watching the show in like mid 2012. Didn't really start doing anything YouTube related for Pony until like late 2012. You know, with some parody videos, and then after the season 3 finale, Alicorn Twilight, as you put it, Silver Quill. I made my first PMV as a tribute to Twilight Sparkle. And then I started to make more PMVs, and I started getting into a rhythm, and I mean, people started liking my videos and stuff, and then I went to BronyCon in 2013 for the first time. It was my first convention, and the first one. It was in Baltimore actually. Didn't know what I was getting myself into, and it was crazy pretty much all around. When I got home, I discovered that this guy named AC Racefest does convention vlogs, and I thought, I think I might give this a shot the next time I go to a con. Next con I went to was actually Katsucon, an anime convention near Washington, and I was not really prepared with the equipment that I had, so it took me a while to really get to the equipment that I use now. But yeah, that's what I do. I've been in this fandom for about 10 years, yeah, I'm glad that Taylor asked me to be on this panel.
Very welcome.
Whoops.
Hello, I'm Brink.
Hi, Brink.
Hello. That's great. That's delightful. Let's see. I have been in the fandom since MLP MSP 1.
Wow.
Anyone else was at MLP MSP? Shout out to you because it's the best convention.
No offense taken.
You ran it for MLP MSP F, so you know. I have been kind of all over the con scene. I missed something. It's fine. I've been all over the con scene. I am a vendor. I'm an artist. I've been on con staff several times for Charlie Cons. And I've been a community guest. Yes, officially Charlie Cons. Charlie Cons. Sorry. And I've been a community guest for 2 weeks. Because I did Sequestria Fest 2 weeks ago, and now I'm
Yay! My name is Charlie Worthley. I am the convention chair for Windy City PonyCon and
Hi,
Pony
Charlie.
Charlie.
He hates that.
I know how I feel.
We just love to have fun with you, Charlie.
Today, you will accept or love. And I joined the fandom in, I guess you would say I joined the fandom roughly in 2013. First convention was Fest 2014, where I was just an attendee, and I left that convention saying, like, I want to get involved, and boy, did I get involved.
You don't say!
How far far he's come.
And he got his wife involved.
So many mistakes.
Where did I go wrong?
I'm not gonna say like I invited myself onto Taylor's panel, but I basically invited myself onto Taylor's panel. When I saw the description for this panel, I was just like, oh, I have so many thoughts on this matter. Because like, especially as a con organizer, I get asked all the time, so how do I get to be a community guest? And well, now is a perfect chance to answer some of those questions in a group setting. So that's why I'm here. So thank you very much.
I would like an answer to that question. I'm unsure why I'm here.
Dartboard. Okay, no.
Oh. I
Totally
figured.
kidding. No. No, but
It was the lasagna, wasn't it?
Wait, what?
I went to Charlie's house. We had lasagna. It was great.
Oh wow. Okay.
We'll definitely get into.
Who made the lasagna?
Good job.
So it's no, I figured that would be a really good context too, because like I know Frank is a newer community guest, and if memory serves, I may have been the first person to make Taylor a community guest.
You were.
So I feel like that will definitely be a part of this discussion. Why did I make those decisions? And so but yeah, Taylor.
That's why, so when I came up with this idea in the first place, because I've never seen like someone come up with the idea of like, how does one become a community guest and how could I bear my content into creating one? Well, you know what? By golly, I decided to come up with this idea.
Jeez, that scared me.
Sorry.
So aggressive.
I just want to make sure you were awake.
I'm awake. It's 4 o'clock.
Are you sure about that? I got caffeine.
Where I live, it's 5 o'clock.
So
Somewhere.
that's what this panel is really all about. Is you guys asking, is us telling you about our experiences of being a community guest and how we got to this point in our careers here. And you all wonder, how could we be up here one day? Well, that's what we're here to discuss. So at least in my portion, how the fandom actually found out about me was I was trying to attempt to see the My Little Pony movie in 2017 over and over again because I fell in love with the movie from literally day one. So then someone told me that, well, this guy AC Racebest saw Zootopia like 900,000 times, and it's like, okay, so that seems like a bit of a tough feat for me to get up onto here. So off we went on this one. And oddly enough, I actually did meet AC Racebest on the day of it was supposed to premiere, so on Thursday night. And you're in
his video too.
Yeah, there's
video evidence of it, folks.
There's video evidence of me meeting Racebest, and I'm just in this pony getup with this little rarity plushie, and because I thought that was just like the norm of what people would bring to a pony event. Because again, I was still trying to get my idea of
still trying to get his bearings.
Trying to get my feet wet into the Brody fandom. Like, okay, what is all this about? Like, I want to continue learning more. And then Race and I were talking afterward, and he said, well, there's a little convention called Equestria LA that's going to be doing their last year in 2017. I said, okay, that could be a great birthday present for me just to go attend that event. And I did. And throughout the whole weekend, I was like, wow, this fandom's fun.
Welcome to the cult. I've been in a cult. This is not cult.
And so I during the weekend, I actually had this kind of really embarrassing moment with Tara Strawn. I was talking with another attendee about, who's best pony and whatnot. And I was talking about, and then he asked me the question. I said, well, Twilight's just okay in my opinion. I think she's cool and all, but
wait, who said this?
No, I was saying this at the time.
You were saying this to Tara Strong?
No. Let me finish.
Ballsy!
Because this gets better. So as soon as I'm talking to him, as literally the elevator doors are open, I said, well, Twilight's okay. There's Tara Strawn standing outside the elevator door.
That was your Lauren Faust moment.
That was that was my Lauren Faust moment. And I'm going, and as soon as I saw Tara, I was like,
oh God.
Lord, take me now. But then Tara and I got to talking. I said, listen, I didn't mean that. And she said, nah, you're okay, you're fine, and whatnot. And then afterward, I was like, man, I want to keep going to conventions. This is really fun. I feel like I really have a place here right now. And so I did. And then I attended BabsCon in 2018. And then, oddly enough, my next convention happened in Las Vegas in 2018 that I was so excited about. I would be literally retweeting High Royal PonyCon stuff like constantly, like every single time that they would tweet, because I wanted people to get involved with this one. I wanted this one to be a very special con because
that's your hometown.
Because again, I never found out about that there was another PonyCon in Las Vegas.
He wasn't living there at the time, by the
Oh,
way.
I was still living in California at the time, so but that's where I met Charlie for the first time during High Royal PonyCon, and I was just so excited about being there, and I wanted to get myself more involved, but I wasn't like sure how, because I wasn't sure where to get my bearings, where to put my bearings in at the point. So I was over the course of those few years, I was getting to know more people, more content creators, more of the other community guests that have come and go throughout the years here, and I started realizing that, you know, I want to be the fun, entertaining guy that wants to put on fun panels and wants to make everybody have a good time. And then the Starlight phase came into effect.
Look how Charlie's shaking his head right now.
It's not a phase, Mom.
It's a lifestyle.
Trust me, I've had this phase for about 6 years now. I don't think it's going away anytime soon. So,
do you think you'll still have like all the Starlight Glimmer stuff by the time you're 80?
most likely.
Yeah, he'll be buried in it.
His casket will have his Starlight Glimmer plush that he currently has.
That's Guinness World Record.
For what?
Most Starlight items in one house.
On his gravestone.
I don't think Guinness is coming out to check that one.
Do you have the most Starlight merch?
That needed me one now.
But that's also how people got to know me as well, because I had this big. I still have. I didn't bring my Glimmer plush down, because that's what really got people interested.
You fool!
You fool!
Shame.
What have you done, mate?
But so I got the plush, and then I was like, I really like this character a lot because I could resonate with her. And people say, well, that's just because you think she's best pony. Well, not exactly, because the way Starlight character is that it's something that I personally went through in my personal life. Is that I was very shy. I was very timid about making connections with other friends, because I had gone through personal life stuff with family, and I was mentally beat to a point that I was even afraid of approaching people and wanting to make friends, and it was killing me.
So you formed a cult?
Well,
You formed a
A life choice.
well,
Isn't that how most cults are formed, though, really?
Yes.
Sort of.
As someone who's been in a cult,
True.
yes.
Well,
but
verification, yeah.
But no, as time went on, I started wanting to get more Starlight Glimmer merch, and then COVID hits, and this is when bad things went wrong. And because when you're locked up in your house for several months, you can go stir crazy. And when you leave out your wallet in certain places you're not supposed to leave it, that's when things also go wrong. And this is how you end up buying merch to compensate for not being able to go outside and being able to attend events and whatnot. So yeah,
You have a
that's where I
problem.
am right now.
Whoops.
Whoops.
Oops.
But that's how people now know me in the fandom, is like the professional Starlight Glimmer fanatic in the fandom, and I've just run with it since then. So
Have you ever done a tour of your crib with all the Starlight merch?
one day I will.
I want to see that, man.
I love the word that
Me
you used,
too.
crib.
MLP crib.
I'm old as.
The dungeon.
So
Taylor's dungeon.
Just take the traveling Starlight Museum.
I don't even know what else
I
to
haven't
say.
had enough sleep for this.
But so now we come to the point of like there were people that I've known for a while say, hey, it would be so cool if you were a community guest because you're doing so much for the fandom right now. You're being very supportive and you're helping out vendors and community artists in the community. And I just said, I don't know. I'm not sure it's going to be for me. I mean, I want to do stuff, but I'm not sure I'm going to be, that guy that people would be looking forward to seeing at a convention. And now I realize how wrong I was on that front. Really undervaluing myself these days, but
Taylor.
prime example.
It's so nice for it to not be me. So one day, I'm sitting at my computer, and it's, I forget which convention it was. I think it was maybe for Ciderfest 19, I want to say it was. Or maybe Winnie that year. And I get, applications are open for whatever convention that it was, and I see a community guest application come in, and it's from one Taylor. And I'm just like, oh, I think I've heard of this person. I'm gonna look at this application. And this application was basically just like, giving the spiel on why they should be a community guest, and it was just like, yeah, I'm gonna need a flight and like a 4-star room and like a per diem, and I'm gonna need all these things to be able to come. I'm just like,
Oh boy.
would love to, but no. And so the fact of the matter is that the first time Taylor applied, if you don't mind me saying so,
Yeah, go ahead.
We did deny the application, and so I think this really is a good place to get into the heart of the matter. I'm not trying to hijack your panel, but
no, of course not. Why do you think I brought you in the first place?
And you do things that people recognize and matter to you, are important to them, and you put effort into things, and that's the answer to the question right there. But even a little bit beyond that, though, there are things that factor into it too from the convention side of things. Obviously, we have a budget that we have to stay within. Like, we can't just invite everybody we want and be able to pay for everything that we could want to pay for. We have to pick and choose on things like that. But really, if anybody's ever looked at the community guest application that we have on our website, a lot of this is covered in that as well. And I will also preface all of this by saying, I'm speaking for my events. Other events could, I have no idea how Everfree picks their community guests or BabsCon picks their community guests.
HarmonyCon.
Exactly. So
TrotCon.
So we have our methods, and I have my methods, and the things that I care about, the things that I look for, like, and other cons are going to work differently. For example, I basically require community guests to apply, because I feel like that's the first, like the very first thing that I look for is enthusiasm. If somebody is asking, is wanting to be a community guest, and especially further get compensation for travel or rooming or whatever expenses, I need them to be motivated and enthusiastic enough to ask to come. Like, obviously I'm not going to name names, but like there have been people who have been suggested to be community guests, and I have said a number of times, well, the first step is for them to apply, and they have never applied, and to me that says something. Like, whether there's several reasons why that could be, but my gut tells me that the most prominent reason is like, well, I shouldn't need to apply. I am this person, and that attitude, while possibly that would sell badges, I'm just not interested. Like I want people who want to be here and are interested and motivated, and every single person up here, and I think every single person on our roster fits that description. So that's a big part of it too. But coming back around, so I'm just curious to you. So you got that, and so in the original decision where I was unfortunately had to turn down Taylor's first application. I'm just curious. So how did things change for you between then and the next time that you applied? What was different on your end?
Well, and again, I was not sure how to go about the process and whatnot. I was under the assumption that at the time it was more like, it was a mistake on my end in the beginning, because I knew that a lot of community guests come because that they want to be enthusiastic and want to have fun. And, since when that first application got denied, it actually motivated me more to, say, okay, I got to dig a little harder here and really find my niche to what people could get interested in, and try to stick my neck out a little bit more here, and you can tell by the prime example of that. But because, and Charlie, I'll be really honest with you here. I was not expecting to get in 2021 for Ponyville Cider Fest, even though I actually did the application correctly this time. And when I got the email, when I heard that emails went out for community guest application, I was like, yeah, I'm thinking I'm gonna get probably a no here. And then I looked at my in my inbox and it wasn't there, and I'm like, oh no. And then I realized, oh wait, I have spam to look forward to. And literally it said Charlie Wardley, and it said, welcome to the Ponyville Cider Fest 2021 community guest roster. And I freaking broke down. Literally was in tears, because, you know, it means a lot. It means a lot to me to know that I feel like I'm doing something right and contributing to this fandom that basically saved my life, and I want to do whatever it takes to make this place better, and, you know, invite people to come be a part of panels and have fun, and, you know, kick back and chill. And, you know, that's what I'm pretty much here to do, and everybody to make fun of me at the same time. That's because that's apparently I don't get enough of that these days, and that's why I live and breathe off of these.
So anyway, I started blasting. That's what I'm talking. That's exactly what I'm talking about. We just like really just. He goes nuts over that. It's an inside joke, one that we'll probably explain over another time.
So I'm curious if I could move the mic down to the end of the table. So Silver, I think you've probably been a community guest more than anyone up here. I'm just curious, how has your experience been in successfully becoming a community guest at various conventions? You probably have like the most rounded experience in terms of like different approval processes, different selection processes and everything. So how has it worked for you? And maybe even a little bit, if you don't mind me asking, how does our process compare to other processes? Not to rank them against each other, but just like, you know, in terms of advice for success. Like, yeah, I'm just curious your take on that.
Well, you see, my council spot on the Illuminati. So it has proven very beneficial. So if you can get in on a secret card right, I totally endorse it.
And we're supposed to actually talk about that?
Well, that's okay. That's because I'm on the Illuminati.
There you go.
So it is a cult.
Exactly. Okay, so I started going to just one convention, BabsCon. It was the only one I was truly aware of at the time. It was in my old neighborhood of Burlingame. It seemed right. But as I became more active in the fandom, as I started working, and funny enough, my involvement in the fandom really started with a rejection. I submitted a comics request for daily. It was not up to snuff. It did not get featured. But I looked at what people did get featured and said, okay, I'm going to try again, be more like these folks, try to really match the quality. Star Harbor still wasn't that great at the time, but it was better. And when it got recognized, I saw this activity, I felt a connection to a fandom. So I started getting more involved after that. And, in time especially, again, Alicorn Twilight broke 9 months. Everyone was arguing. And then my first video was going down why Alicorn Twilight could work and how it could not work. Just be, rather than wait for someone else to go up the list, you got to be the change you want to see. So eventually people said, hey, you should apply to be a community guest. And I'm like, what is this thing? So I applied. I believe BabsCon was my first community guest thing, and I had a lot of fun. I really do like Charlie's view of if you don't apply to be a community guest, you're not going to be a community guest. Funny enough, I'm here on this table, I'm here on this panel. I'm not technically a community guest this time because life got crazy. I whiffed on the application. I managed to get into the vendor hall, but I totally missed the community guest spot. And I really appreciate that it's not just, oh, okay, here you go. No, you gotta know people are committed. So when I realized, oh, I whiffed, I did reach out to several people, say, not asking, can I be a community guest, but how can I help? And really that is the big thing, how can I help? And it's amazing how that translates. One of the biggest things, Nightmare Nights in Texas, I was the only reviewer I think they ever had as an actual community guest. And it wasn't because I'm Silver Queen, I make the funny videos. No, It was one, I talked to the head when people coming to a booth for autographs and to talk about the show was actually blocking other people from going to vendors. I said, look, I'm so sorry, but I feel like we're being a hazard to the vendors and blocking them from business. You know, what can we do to fix that? And one, so well, tack on an extra half hour to your panels just for that, for autographs and talk. But then they messaged me. They said, hey, we really like how you conducted yourself at the convention. We really want to, we'd like you to be a community guest next year. And it's kept going from that. It always comes down to, how can I help? What can I do? I really love that at Everfree, 1 year, I was asked to panel questions, be a guest master of ceremonies for a VA panel. And Dusty Cat gave me the best advice, which is you really need to go through their previous interviews, maybe social media posts. You need to ask the questions that the audience isn't, because they've been asked 100 times, how did you get into writing? How did you get into voice acting? How did you do this? It's more like, well, okay, you said you like to go for walks to prepare for a role. What are your favorite trails? Or what do you think about while you're on those walks? That's something they're not gonna get. They're not gonna get from the audience. So again, you add some vitality. You're meant to lift the event up. Now some places, they really do just take note of the events in the fandom. And then they may reach out and say, hey, we want you to be a community guest. That's a very high compliment, but never a given. I mean, if I ever start acting like, I'm Silver Quill, I should be here, you all have permission to punch me. And say, stop being stupid. Now, if I'm just being stupid, you don't get to punch me. I mean, that's way too I will also point out the worst way you can apply to be a community guest, because this was an event like, gosh, what was this, 2021? Some person, I forget the screen name they were under, but they started making a racket in the fandom saying, oh, you guys only ever hire the same community guests. And look, these guys haven't even posted videos about My Little Pony in like 2 months. They're not involved anymore. And I'm watching this guy, I was like, okay, have you applied to be a community guest? Never saw an answer to that. Your channel doesn't have My Little Pony content. Oh, well, that's just my side channel. I have a much more popular channel. But it's like, oh, I'm not telling you. This person made such a racket trying to guilt people into making them a community guest, or I don't know, make everyone bored with the current crop. It was the dumbest, most insulting and juvenile way to go about this. And if ever there was a way of how not to do something,
That's it.
That is
a perfect
it.
example. Yeah. It's so stupid, really.
And we had this last year for Ciderfest too.
Yeah.
Silverquill, you did a really good job at BabsCon with the musical art. I don't even know who you were interviewing, but the interview was amazing.
Oh.
Like, I didn't even want to go to that panel. He dragged me, but you made it very interesting.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. It was like, musical? No, if I'm singing, you don't want to.
No, you were interviewing somebody that made music for the show,
Yeah.
and like, I'm sorry, I'm bad at names, but you did a really good job.
Not for that.
Yeah, it's always interesting the different ways that people try and convince other people that they should be a community guest for whatever reason. So on our end, we have the application process, and every now and then, just an application comes through, and you're just like, oh, you sweet summer child. It's hard.
And that is why you never.
It's not you. No.
Oh, sweet child of mine.
I don't say this to be demeaning, but it's just like just as an example. And no, it was not anybody up here. I don't believe this person has ever actually attended a worthwhile event. So
And he's one to talk.
So we'll start there. But this person, they've applied several times, and the answer is always the same, because their application is always the same, and their application that they put in for this very event was one of the questions that it asks on our application is why do you want to be a community guest? And typically you'll get the answer of is because I love this fandom and I want to help it out, and because it means so much to me, and yada yada yada. Their answer was, and bless their heart, their answer was because I want to be more popular.
That's a big no-no.
I mean,
But uniquely honest at the same
At least they were being honest. We'll give them points for that.
points for honesty, but that is the worst possible answer you could give to that question. Yeah. And I think but that is not an uncommon mindset when it comes to people wanting to be community guests. They see, and they're just looking at it all wrong because they see like, oh, I want to be up on stage, I want to be in the spotlight, I want people to know who my name are. First of all, it is not as fun as you think it is.
No.
So let me just start there.
I have not been at my vendor table all day. I think 10 minutes.
Yeah, but it's like, I mean, you get what I'm saying. It's just like, a lot of people unfortunately want to be community guests for the wrong reasons. Yeah. And it's the people that are doing whatever they're doing and saying like, I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing no matter what, and if I get to be a community guest, cool, but regardless,
you're not going to.
I'm gonna still keep contributing to this community in the best way that I can. That's what we look for. That's the kind of mindset that we look for, because those are the people who are actually making a difference. Yeah. There's other factors too, but I don't want to hog the mic. So, Drink, hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Hi. I'm tired.
I'm tired.
I slept for 3 hours.
Oh dear.
Oh no.
I had to work 10 hours yesterday, and then I drove here from Minnesota.
Yeah. Oh.
I'm very tired.
Yikes.
Get your 621 friends.
Yes.
Yes.
661
Yes.
is your best friend at cons.
661.
6 showers a day.
2 bites of this muffin that I haven't had a chance to eat.
1 hour of sleep.
Oh, hey, that's how I caught.
So can I ask you, so as your first day as a worthwhile event community guest, you sort of just answered it, but what's your day been like so far, and do you have regrets?
My day, let me just tell you. So my day started at 6 o'clock this morning. Actually, technically, my day started at 2:30 this morning when I pulled into the driveway.
Oh jeez.
And then I unloaded all of my stuff, which included my vendor table and all of everything that needed to go in the hotel room. And went up to the hotel room with my wife and my partner, and we are staying with Dewey and Nevi, so it's been an adventure. If you know Dewey and Nevi, that's all you need to know.
Yes.
Oh, girl, do you want me to go get you coffee?
I have had 3 caffeinated drinks so far today. I probably need more.
You've got a vein.
I am very tired. So I went downstairs at about 8 o'clock this morning and set up my vendor table. And then I went from setting up my vendor table to vending because the guests of honor came in, and then the sponsors, and then all of the lovely attendees came in. And then I went to the opening ceremonies. And then I went back to my vendor table for about 10 minutes, and then I went to go set up for the Great Equestrian Bake Off, which, shout out if you were there. And then I went back to my vendor table for about 2 minutes, and then I was like, oh, I haven't eaten all day today. I probably should do that. So I got food, and then I got here, and then I have a panel after this, and then I have another one after that, and then I'm going to die.
You're not going to the bottle share?
Dead.
I will not be going to the bottle share because I need to sleep. I am so sorry.
Sleep is everything.
And do I have regrets? Absolutely not. I started being involved in cons by Thoth invited me on the Equestrians Next Top Artist panel, and like I was doing one panel, like one a weekend. I'm like, wow, this is so exciting! I'm vending and doing a panel. This is so cool. And somehow at HarmonyCon, I went and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna be an attendee for once, and I'm not gonna vend. I'm not gonna like do anything. I'm just gonna be an attendee. And I ended up on 8 panels. I don't know how this happens to me. And then I went into this con and I'm like, okay, I have applied for 2 panels. I know Phauxe is going to ask me for next top artist because he does every time. And then I ended up on 8 panels.
Again.
And I don't know how it happened.
You're friends with Taylor.
I'm so here for this.
You do know that no is an option, right?
No, it's not.
No.
Wait,
That's how it happened.
Okay, my wife and my partner have been like, Frank, if you get another request in your inbox to be on a panel, please say no. And I'm like, no. Because honestly, that's what happens. My first time applying to be a community guest, I was denied because I think I was doing 1 panel.
That's a part of it. It's yeah. So like again, our cons are not everyone our other cons, but so like it's sort of like one of the requirements that we have is that if you're a community guest, you have to do at least 1 panel. There has to be like a place or somewhere like if you don't have content to present. So it's 2 things. First of all, if you don't have content to present, like why would we do that? But at the same time, it's like if we're basically saying like, hey, this entity is important enough that we're going to make them a community guest, that is implying that you should come see them. So there needs to be a place to be able to go see them. So that's why we have that panel requirement. And if that turns into 8 panels, well, great, even better. For us, not so much for you.
Oh, it's a great time. I would not trade it for anything. I'm just very tired.
How many panels do you have, Taylor? How many are you up to?
Well, let's see. This is my 3rd one out of 11 this weekend. So
Holy
That's
cow,
12,
Taylor.
right?
yes, 12.
If we're including opening ceremonies.
If we're see.
Yeah.
Then 13.
But that's
It's an event. Let's just call it that.
Yeah, events. How many events?
Almost 50, basically.
because listen, I run panels because I like to, and I like to and I have fun with this, even though I'm somehow dead tired after the con. It's totally worth it to me. You know, that's the whole biggest importance of being a community guest is not being popular, because y'all know that's a big no-no.
Right.
Because you want to help grow and provide for the community that you love, and that's what the big takeaway here is, that the reason that Charlie explained very beautifully was that
And very eloquently.
is that they choose community guests because they want to help grow the community and people that they would get excited to see at conventions. And some of you might not be at that level just yet, but in maybe a few years, maybe that all will change. You just got to keep growing your content and expanding and getting to know people, and you never know. Like one day you could be up here replacing me one day. So, but
Impossible.
Replacing you? Wait a minute.
No one
when
can
I
replace
become old,
Taylor.
when I become old and decrepit and whatnot. Hi, my name is Taylor. This is my 80th Winnie City Pony Club. Thank y'all.
Nope. Back in my day.
Pass the mantle on by that point.
Wait, no. See, I'm picturing by then cybernetics is going to make some advancements. So you're going to be like the Starlinator. You're just going to...
What?
The Starlinator. He's just going to be like, I am here to convert you to Starlight Cover. Resistance is futile. I think I broke him.
It's not so much as you wanting to help out like at a convention or in a community. It's how you help out. Yesterday, we had a buckball tournament in what he calls the Weddington.
It is the Weddington.
It's the Sleepy Bean Pavilion. We had Crackle's Cousin Cosplay hosts of buckball tournaments at Winnie City, at Ciderfest, at HarmonyCon. And they all
At Trot and
at Sequestria. At the ones that I'm able to go to, because I use my skills, my knowledge and experience in officiating in sports, I help officiate that. I started doing that at Ciderfest in 2019 when they had their buckball tournament. I got accustomed to it pretty quickly, despite going into it not knowing the rules or knowing very little about the rules of the sport to begin with. So, but I've been doing it enough to know like to develop like like this should happen on these plays, that should happen on these plays. So that's how I contribute. Also, aside from doing panels with you, aside from hosting my own panels, at like recently, what I've been doing at the charity auctions is I'm on the floor pointing to people that have their hands up for helping other people on stage who are looking basically into blinding lights that is having a hard time seeing people with their hands raised. So that's another use of my officiating skills. That's the main difference. Also, you have to know like what the procedure is when certain things happen and those kind of things.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You didn't share your first time as the community guest or how that even happened for you.
What?
Yeah.
I think everybody else did. I don't think you did.
My first time as a community guest?
Yeah.
My first time as a community guest was actually in 2016 at what was my home convention, PhillyCon, which was in Philadelphia. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail about what happened at that con. Really, what I'm considering my first time as a community guest was in fact HarmonyCon of not this past HarmonyCon, but the HarmonyCon before that, 2022. So when I went into my emails, I knew that I had submitted an application. I thought I'm going to get rejected one way or another because it's happened to me at many other times before at other cons. But this was going to be my first time I was actually going to get to go to HarmonyCon. Opened my email one day. I think it was in probably either October or November of 2021, and I actually look in my spam folder, and I don't know why I was going to spam. Some of the first messages I got from you, Charlie, were also going to spam. So I always make sure you check your spam folder. So I looked at my spam folder and it says HarmonyCon, a community guest response, and I read it, I'm like, oh, here we go, and I'm like, you've been approved as a community guest. Congratulations. Like, what?
What did I do?
What? Are you kidding me? I actually got in for community guest. This can't be real. So, I know that I can't tell anyone about it until it is announced.
NDAs, folks.
Yeah. So. Eventually, like I think it's probably December or January by this point. HarmonyCon announces me, and I went. I was able to go to HarmonyCon, and the rest of it is pretty much history. Really, the only cons I've been able to do community guests for were HarmonyCon, both last year and this year, and Winnie City last year and this year. I've tried to do Everfree Northwest, and I also applied for Ciderfest last year. Unfortunately, I assume that there were just a lot of applicants for Ciderfest last year. That's why I didn't get it in as community guest last year. But I did go as an attendee though.
Just smile and nod.
Yeah. It's honestly, but you gotta make sure that you are contributing in some way or fashion to the fandom in order to be even considered to be tapped as a community guest. It's not just doing what you do; it's how you do it.
Charlie, well, I did the amenities came up as you were talking, and that brought up something. Early on in the fandom, I think a lot of community guests got very special treatment because the fandom was fledgling, it was coming together. Then all of a sudden, people started expecting full transportation to and from the airport, lodging, food. Here's the thing about me, I am very introverted. I need a room to myself just to have that sanctuary of thought and to catch my breath. So I just tell the con, I'll pay for my own room. It'd be ridiculous and horribly arrogant to demand
A hotel room.
A hotel room for one person in the middle of a convention. Now, it has, so I think also moderate expectations on, it's not a life of glitz and glamour being a community guest. You know,
It's not. If I may, there's a lot of hard work that goes into being a community guest. I'm not gonna sugarcoat this for you. It's a lot of work. You are going to be busy. We are we're on like what, 5 panels together. You alone have what, 13? Not including opening or closing ceremonies.
Right.
So
Be prepared to put the work
I'm
in.
prepared to put a lot of work in. Prepared to be very exhausted by the time you go home, and just make sure that your stamina is up to speed if you want to do this.
Don't be like me, actually get sleep.
But sleep is very much encouraged because you need it to operate throughout the weekend.
Yeah.
But expect to be worked to the grindstone.
You're making me sound really bad. You know?
That's not the intention. I'm just saying in general, not just for your cons, but in
It just ends up that way.
I'm sorry. If it ended up that way, I'm sorry. That wasn't the intention. But there's a lot of hard work that goes into it. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
So, Charlie, I feel like I cut you off there earlier.
No, it's totally fine. It's just I'm looking at the time and I know other people probably have other things that they want to do. So we have 8 minutes left.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
So there's just a couple of things that if you don't mind that I wanted to
go
address. And so the one thing that I think was excellent that you touched on is it's not specifically what you do. It's just that you're doing something in terms of contributing and helping out and everything, and that's really important. And what that ends up boiling down to is when we're finally, and this is going to come to your question of why did you pick me? I'm going to address that.
Cool.
So and this applies to you too. Actually, well, it applies to everyone.
Applies to all of us. Yeah, we're all.
This is the most recent newbie, so it's freshly in my mind. So when we get to the point of looking through the applications and we're trying to decide who to pick, there's we've talked about several things that factor into this. First of all, it's like I'm trying to remember the order in which we talked about things. First of all, what are they asking for to be able to be a guest, and if they want like first class tickets and like a suite to themselves, well then like
That's asking a bit much.
it's most likely yes. But then there's the matter of it's like why do they want to do it? Like that certainly matters. But then really the question is for a convention, and again these are just my conventions. I'm going to speak broadly, but I'm only talking about my own experiences. When a convention says that for a convention to decide that an entity is worthy of I didn't have a better word to use
see what
there.
you did there.
Of basically saying like this entity is of the status enough to be able to like put on that community guest pillar and basically say like look this person is coming and we think it's important that you all know that they're coming and so on and so forth. A part of that decision effectively comes down to we have to think about, okay, if we do that, how many of our attendees are going to go, who's that? Frankly, and so that's a factor. And so there are people that I think are great people that have applied to be a community guest in the past for this con and previous cons that I would love to, but they just don't have the recognition that I feel like warrants the community guest title. Because if I put them in the con book and everybody goes, who is this? Why are they a community guest? Well then, certainly not every community guest is going to be known by everybody, but you know what I mean? Like there's a threshold there. And when we invited you for the first time, and when we invited you for the first time, and Red Card you as well, and Silver, you you've been an established presence for a while, so you're kind of separate in this particular conversation from my perspective.
Oh, I go sit in the corner.
You go sit in the corner. You think about what you've done.
There was a point where the application was denied, and there was a point where the application was accepted. And the thing that changed in that time is we looked at them and we said, like, okay, do enough people know who this person is for it to make sense? For enough people to say, like, yes, I agree, that person deserves to be a community guest because they have done X, Y, and Z to contribute either to the event specifically, to the community, or whatever it is. And there was, and for you, Taylor, specifically, it was BlepCon. It was, you know, with what you did with BlepCon and the hangouts, like over pandemic and everything, like you did something great with that. And that, for me, I'm just gonna be perfectly frank, like the effort and the energy and the time that you put into BlepCon is what made me say yes the next time that you asked. So that's it. You got to put in the work, and whether that work is doing stuff outside of cons, whether that stuff is doing at cons, like, you know, like helping out with events and officiating events to the point where people are just like, oh yeah, Red Card, he's a cool dude, or you know, if you're just, you know, volunteering for all sorts of different cons and making art and doing all sorts of really cool stuff. When you get to that point of just like, yes, like Brink is a community guest. When we made that announcement, whole bunch of like reply tweets like, "Yay, Brink, we're so proud you finally made it." That's what we were looking for, and that's why we did it.
Heck.
And that's what happened to me when I got accepted for Ponyville Cider Fest in 2021. I got that same exact reaction.
You don't get people saying like, "Well, who's that?" You see people saying like, "You finally deserve this." And so it's you have to be, as a convention head, I do the best that I can to be watching the community and seeing who is putting in the time and the effort to get that level of respect from the rest of the community, so that when they can get accepted, they can say like, yes, that was the right choice for you to make. And so that's what it comes down to. You know, and there's different ways that we try and arrive at that decision. So like, you know, sometimes time crunch doesn't allow for it, but this year, for example, we one thing that I try and do is, you know, our sponsors are a really important feedback group for decisions that we make. And so I basically listed out all the community guest applicants and put them to the sponsors, did a blind poll and said, like, if you think, like, select as many names on this list as you want. If you think somebody should be a community guest, whether or not you personally want to see them is not really what I'm asking. Like, somebody might not be your cup of tea. That's not the question. The question is like, do you think that they deserve to be a community guest? And we got, you know, that information was one of the things that we considered, but it was a really important one. And so yeah, all sorts of things go into the decision-making process there. But really, honestly, you know, from my perspective as a person that makes the decisions on, you know, when the question is, so you want to be a community guest, from the person that makes the decisions, really just do something to put in the work. Don't just want to be popular. Don't just want to be on stage. Don't just want people to know who you are. Do something that makes people want to know who you are.
I think there's too much pressure though, because I like being a drunk and a lush and spending my time. So I'll just come and have fun and record you all.
Yeah.
And you know, not being a community guest isn't for everybody. I mean, like there are plenty of people that put in that time and that work and just like, I don't need that. I don't need that additional level of, I mean, pressure is a good word for it too, and that's totally fine. But yeah.
But if you're trying to like be a community guest solely just for popularity, you're doing it for the complete wrong reasons, and you need to reevaluate your life choices.
Horse fame doesn't exist, folks.
No, it doesn't.
No, I kind of want to bounce off of something that's been said a few times about like being involved in the community. So I started in the pony community by offering art for the charity auction. That is where I got my start. Was I doodled something in a hallway that AC Race Fest and Sabres Park and Paleo were like, yo, this is really cool. And I'm like, okay, here you go, it's in the charity auction, have fun. And then the next year I applied to vend. And then the next year I applied to be on art staff, and I actually was on art staff for Cider Fest. That's where I got my start. And I have been involved in the community, and all of the people on this stage have been involved in the community. If you're looking to get here, which, cool, like it's a goal, I guess. It wasn't my goal. I had people telling me like, hey, you should apply, and I'm like, I guess I could do that. But if you want to get up here, your best way is really getting involved. pick something that works for you and do that thing.
Yeah.
Whether that's doing panels, whether it's like volunteering, help the con run. They need volunteers. Do that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cider Fest is in November. Apply to volunteer.
It's gonna be work. It's gonna be hard work, but it's gonna be worth it.
Yeah.
Hey, you see what I did there?
You don't necessarily have to be the
I'll give
one
you that
that's
$5 later.
You don't have to be the one that's on 20 panels or whatever, but
Yeah.
like, be involved. Do things.
For sure.
Yeah. I think Amber, did you have a question?
She kind of already answered.
Oh, okay.
We're
out of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions for us up here that you wanted to ask or?
Any
What's your
Bueller?
favorite color?
Purple.
Yes, sir.
I bet it's red.
start the panel all over again.
We wish we could, but that's not how time works.
The TLDR, do things. Be
Yeah.
involved.
And the work hard and work sets you free.
And give me $20.
I'll take caffeine.
Noteworthy, we heard that.
I hope was this informative for you all? Is this the kind of stuff you were looking at?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Good. Job done.
Heck yeah.
The job's done, yeah.
I want to thank you all so much for coming out to So You Want to Be a Community Guest. I want to especially thank Silver Quill, Red Card, Charlie, and Brink for coming on board to help you guys understand what goes into what it's like to be a community guest and how to better yourself to one day maybe be a community guest. So in case you guys have any more questions for us, we'll be happy to answer your questions. And we actually have a meet and greet coming up in about 28 minutes.
In the wedding tent.
In the wedding tent. In the Sleepyville Pavilion. So
Those are almost words.
yeah.
All the words.
Sapphire Pavilion.
What are words? What is English?
A construct.
But again, thank you all so much for coming out. Enjoy the rest of Whitty City and enjoy the rest of your convention. And please get involved.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go support the vendors. Bye.
That too.
I mean, they come walking up to the gas station where there's drug dealers going in cars that
So we went to a panel or two. We had our panel.
Yeah.
We survived.
5 gallons.
Yeah, we did. Pretty good turnout for,
One more shandy and then
well, it seems like it's really rocked it. They did well throughout,
Because
so
I'm at Honeyside.
We're getting
very
pizza.
impressive.
So we eat pizza. Now we're watching The Office. Yay.
Yay.
I don't know. I changed out of my fancy dress and just threw on a shirt and a skirt. And I guess we're going to
The
gala.
at 7.
Yay. Who's ready for a nap?
Yeah.
If you're enjoying this vlog, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe.